Welcome to CBR TV. I'm Jonah Wild, and sitting to my left are legendary rockers Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley from the band Kiss. Did you guys know you guys are legendary at this point?
Wow, yes.
All right, before the camera started rolling, and I know all our fans and our readers know this, but Gene, you are a true comic book fan. You started pulling out stuff that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
You mentioned Bob Montana as one of the original Archie artists.
Bob Montana was one of the original, not just artists, but the iconic sort of, the sense, the vibe. There's a look. Archie and the entire town and the world that he lives in has a look.
Right.
They act a certain way, they walk a certain way, they look a certain way, and Bob Montana helped define that a long time ago, before you were born.
Well before I was born, because I'm not that old, please.
But Dan Parent is over there.
Dan Parent is your artist on this book. And you're interesting talking about the style, because before we started, Paul, you were talking about, you always had a problem with Archie's hair.
I was always fascinated, first with the color of his hair, but he had that check thing happening on the side, and I used to think to myself, how do you make your hair like that? Kind of like a mesh.
Shading, yeah.
You know, so that was my introduction to Archie. Was, gee, that's strange looking hair.
Well, the choices.
And people still say that to us. Gee, that's strange looking hair. So
the choices were that, or more realistic Vince Coletta kind of lines, or zipper-tones as used by Jim Steranko. And think, oh God, we know all the stuff.
that's what happens when you come from another country and you don't have a life.
You know, it's true. I worship the stuff, studied it, find out who wrote what, how Jughead's hat changed, how it was different than Bazooka Joe's kid with the thing. I mean, it's all very complex.
Now, actually, that begs the question, Paul, did you ever make fun of Gene for being a comic book fan in your early days?
Fun of me for every day.
The dynamic of this relationship. I do remember early on borrowing my parents' car, and I would drive Gene to either buy or sell comics.
Both.
Really?
Yeah. So, I should have, had the little cap, but there we were in my parents' car driving to God knows where, so that he could either buy or sell comic books.
Oh,
I had leaflets, comics bought $1 a pound. And you'd go up to people's attics and they go, just take it out of here. Here's $1. No, just take it. And out of one or two Golden Age comics would be in there.
And you had your fanzine.
Cool. And I published my own fanzines.
What was it, Stiletto?
There was Stiletto, there was Cosmos, Fawn, Tinderbox, there were a few of them. And I also drew my own comic books, the Astronauts, Imagine Three Stooges in Space. And of course, Omar the Cliff Dweller, which was a knockoff of Turok, Son of Stone.
You should bring the Astronauts back.
Yeah, because I have nothing else going on in my life.
All right, let's talk about this project specifically, because as I understand it, you seriously just cold called Archie one day and said, let's do this.
But this is how we do things. You know, we stand in front of what we do. We're not in the background. We really do care about this thing that we created. It really started with us two. We were in different bands and different ideas. We really are two different sides of the same coin. And he's got much more integrity in his musical thing, and I'm just out there with sort of pop culture and stuff. And when we first started this, when you really, we were called sadists and masochists, all this other kind of stuff, but the word comic book and superhero crept in there.
Sure.
It was this kind of thing. Specifically, my outfit, I ripped off Black Bolt's wings.
Sure.
Jack Kirby, Joe Sinnott inking, not Dick Ayers at the early days. And he's gone. And of course they were short wings because he couldn't fly. He just did what Namor did, which is Roman backwards, actually.
Right.
And
he really does this stuff.
Yeah, really love, because, invented in America, this whole comic book thing, really invented here. It's an art form. That's what it really is. We look at, it's funny, the funny books. No, they're not. 100, 200 years from now, people are going to, the scientists are going to look back on it. This is representative of folk art of that time period.
Well, okay, but specifically this Archie meets Kiss thing, you called CEO John Goldberg.
Sorry, I love the sound of my own voice.
Not a problem. You cold called him.
Yeah.
And you just, out of the blue, where did this idea come from? Why?
Why
Archie?
Because we're doing such great stuff. This Kiss thing of ours has grown by leaps and bounds. And we like teaming up and co-branding with iconic brands that have existed throughout the ages. At the same time, Archie, by the way, has allowed us to do the IDW superhero comic books, which are coming shortly, at the same time. But Archie has been around for over 50 years. And if you're going to point at something that's iconic, that goes to a slightly different audience, you've got to respect something that stands the test of time, and it's a wacky idea. Kiss and Archie, you go, huh? What?
Right.
But by the way, if you took a look at the issues,
I did.
They're cool. Are you allowed to say shit?
You're allowed to say whatever you want.
Cool as shit.
I don't know if you can say cool as shit about an Archie comic, though.
That's right.
The cool as all get out.
It's as cool as Mr. Weatherby.
Now, you guys have a long history in comics. You've had many regular series and stuff like that. But you've been away from comics for a little while. Do you think you'll be making a comeback here? You mentioned something about IDW.
We
We're
are.
doing quite a few. Actually, since we did the Marvel comics, there have been very many permutations
Sure.
of Kiss through the comic books. Starting with Marvel, starting with Howard the Duck.
Right.
And that's where we made our initial introduction into comic book world.
Sure.
And what issue was that, Gene?
13 and 14.
you
Steve
very
Gerber.
God rest his soul, yeah.
Yeah.
And back then, we actually put our red ink was made up of our blood.
That's right.
We actually put some of our blood into the ink. So if you want to now, you can actually take some of the blood out of there, extract it, and you can have your own Kiss members. If you just
We could clone you
DNA
guys.
out. And hopefully in the next issue of Archie, we're going to donate something for the yellow ink.
The God's honest truth is...
Okay.
The God's
You're all
honest
weak, folks.
truth is that at the same time...
I didn't know if you were joking or not. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anything for a price.
At the same time, I was talking with Jim Lee and the DC folks about doing, Kiss DC, Superman meets Kiss and all that kind of stuff, which would be exciting. But it wouldn't turn your head around. It wouldn't make you say, like, what?
You're right.
And we've always been about that, about push. I mean, Kiss Hello Kitty. That's it. Oh, it's alive and well. It just launched in 90 countries.
Wow.
Today, didn't we confirm 2 deals?
We did.
One in Ireland, one in South Africa, I think. These
Everything
are brand-
from clothing and apparel to eyeglasses to anything that we can co-brand so that the
Toilet
Hello
paper.
Kitty icons have the makeup on. So we're always looking, for an interesting matchup. And, it's no secret we have the hots for Veronica.
Who can blame you? I know you guys got to go get to your signing. I'm going to leave you guys, but thank you very much. It was a pleasure meeting both of you. Paul, Gene.
Pleasure.
Thanks for coming in.
The fans should know that, there's commerce involved and there's cool imaging and all this kind of stuff. At the essence, at the core, we love this. Comic books are an American art form, and there's a load of respect. I'm a fanboy. We come from those loins. I know more than you do.
You heard it from Gene. Never doubt him. I'm Jonah Weil, and this is CBR TV.